Good evening from the Sullivan Center. University of St. Francis takes on Holy Cross College tonight in CCAC basketball action. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call as the Fighting Saints trying to make it back-to-back wins here at home. And Holy Cross tries to snap a 3-game losing streak. Fighting Saints come into play today with a winning record of 12-10 overall, 11-6 in conference. Holy Cross 11-13. 7-10 in the CCAC, but as I mentioned, they have dropped their last 3. Just a few weeks ago, it seemed like they were safely in the CCAC tournament. Not the case anymore. They need a couple of victories here, a big one today for the visitors, as the tip is won by the Fighting Saints. The home team in white goes from right to left here in the first half. The Holy Cross Saints in black go from left to right. Darius Wright pulls up for 2 and misses the first jumper, in and out. Holy Cross takes it the other direction. This is Phil Robles leading the offense for Holy Cross. He passes off to Nash Hostetler on the right. They try to get it inside to Tommy Snyder, who wraps it up down low. And a foul is called on Carter Fahey. Fahey had a good initial challenge on that pass. Snyder had to fall down on the ground to wrap himself around that ball. There was really nowhere left to go, so he was bailed out with the foul on Fahey. Robles throws it up wildly with the left hand and misses. Came down awkwardly, and he's limping down the floor the other way. No score after each team has had a possession. St. Francis' leading scorer, Aitor Anabararte, fires it inside for E.J. Charles. Charles works inside and travels. I think you've met most of the starters anyway, but for the Saints, it's Nadav Gerner and Darius Wright in the backcourt. The front court consists of Aitor Anabararte, E.J. Charles, and Carter Fahey. Nash Hostetler, Justin O'Neill, and Bo Ludwig are the starting guards for Holy Cross. They've got the freshmen Phil Robles and Tommy Snyder in there with them. Tommy Snyder, number 24 for Holy Cross, is certainly the player to watch today. Nash Hostetler misses on a three-pointer. The rebound goes to the senior Carter Fahey. Right down the floor to E.J. Charles. Charles works inside, too hard off the glass. Rebounded by Snyder. Tommy Snyder is the team's leading rebounder this year, averaging 8.5 per game. Robles forces the issue and banks it in. First points of the game occur at the 18.5-minute mark in the first half. And they belong to the freshman Phil Robles. Robles averages 12 per game this season. Carter Fahey turnaround from close range, no good. Rebound wrapped up by Justin O'Neill. This is a very young starting lineup for Holy Cross, just one senior. Tommy Snyder has been easily their best player this year. He's only a freshman, and he knocks down the 3. That's not a big part of his game, just the 16th three-pointer he's made this year. But he's averaging 20 points per contest, largely from the inside. He just proved, though, if you give him enough space outside, he's happy to take it. 5-0 Holy Cross. E.J. Charles backs in on Hostetler. Now double teamed. He scores, and it counts with a foul. E.J. Charles has been very active inside to start today's game. He's had a couple of opportunities down low. Called for a travel a couple of possessions ago. This is his first successful field goal. He's 1 for 2 from the field now. And at the foul line. Charles this season is an 8-point per game scorer. 69% on free throws. Ibrahim Mobayed checks in for St. Francis for Carter Fahey. Fahey left the floor. I think he had a cut that had to be cleaned up. Can't play if you've got an open cut, so he'll be back on the floor shortly. C.J. Charles makes it a 3-point play and a 2-point game. Nick Sullivan checks in for Holy Cross. Phil Robles takes the ball down the floor. 2.5 minutes in. Each team now has gotten themselves on the board. Robles at the top looking for a 3-pointer. He's got it. And Robles has 5 points early on. Good start for him. Good start for the visiting Saints. And now the Fighting Saints will try to get rolling. Nadav Gerner on the outside. He passes to Aitor Anabadarte. Lobbed across to Gerner. Top of the key, Darius Wright. Around a screen, he passes off. Wanted that shot there, but a little off balance, so midair he changed his mind. Here's Mobayed for 2. Way off. Rebounded by Robles. He's done a little bit of everything to start today's game out. Already 5 points for the freshman point guard. Robles blocked this time by Nadav Gerner. Casimir Ochiaka checks in for Mobayed. Carter Fahey has returned to the bench, so he should be ready to return shortly. Robles will inbound here with 22 on the shot clock. Bounces it into the 6'8" tall senior Sullivan. Given up to Snyder, who misses the layup. Good challenge by Anabadarte. Here's Casimir Ochiaka. Darius Wright on the drive. Reverse layup is good. Nice drive, Darius Wright. 8-5 our score early on. Darius Wright has his first points. This is Bo Ludwig setting it up. Up top, Justin O'Neill, sophomore from Dayton, Ohio. Bounce down low to Snyder. Snyder working in the post against Anabadarte. Charles comes over to help, and his pass is intercepted by Nadav Gerner. Gerner ahead to Wright. Wright going up over Ludwig. No good off the backboard. Rebound Sullivan. O'Neill on the left wing. Guarded by Charles, surveying the scene. Finally finds Snyder up top. Here's Ludwig. Ludwig puts it on the floor. Works his way inside. Throws it out to Sullivan. 5 on the shot clock. Ludwig fakes the 3. Drives all the way in. Layup is good. Bo Ludwig has his first 2. Holy Cross now doubling up St. Francis. Second meeting of the season between these two teams. The Fighting Saints were victorious in South Bend back in December. Step back right, gives it up to Anabadarte. Anabadarte has not taken a shot yet today. He's fighting for it inside though, misses off the glass, gets his own miss, and scores on the second chance. Aitor Anabadarte has been nigh unstoppable of late. Came in averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds a game. He's got his first of each, a rebound and 2 points. Sullivan rattles around and falls. E.J. Charles came in late, tried to get him from behind. Mike McBride, the head coach of Holy Cross, said he did get him across the arm. No foul is called. Here's Darius Wright bouncing it over to Aitor Anabadarte. Anabadarte scored his first 2 on the last possession. Now he backs in on Snyder. Anabadarte up with the right hand. No, but he's fouled by Snyder. It's going to be a good battle today. Aitor Anabadarte and Tommy Snyder. 2 of the top scorers, 2 of the top rebounders in the conference this year. Anabadarte's first foul shot is good. And this is maybe the thing that Aitor Anabadarte does better than anything. He gets himself to the free throw line at a very impressive clip. He takes about 7 or 8 free throws per game, and he makes most of them, including both on this trip. 4 points for Anabadarte, an 83% foul shooter. 12-9. Saints go to their bench. Lewis McGlasson, Justin Phillips, Ben Kreitz are all in for St. Francis. Ryan Cartano is in for Holy Cross. He's the one who passed it off to Nash Hostetler. Hostetler misses the layup. Ochiaka gives it to McGlasson. Lewis McGlasson, the Scottish transport, passes off to Phillips and gets it right back. McGlasson on the run, off the backboard, no good. Lewis McGlasson, typically an outside shooter. That was a rarity from him. He tried to force the action going inside, didn't go his way. Ludwig spins into the paint. Ludwig is able to scoop it under Justin Phillips and score. 4 points for Bo Ludwig, 14 for Holy Cross. They lead by 5. Phillips gets the screen, bounces to the cutting Ochiaka. Now it's one-on-one with Mick Sullivan. Casimir Ochiaka up and in. Three-point game once again. Holy Cross scored the first 5 today, and since then they've been trading buckets. Jake Carley comes on for Darius Wright. Cartano passes to his right, Ludwig. Up top, Hostetler. Holy Cross works it around the perimeter. Robles thought about the shot. Instead, it goes inside, Mick Sullivan. Sullivan, turnaround, no. Offensive rebound, Ludwig. Phillips tries to rip it out of his hands. They call a held ball. It'll stay with Holy Cross. $20 on the shot clock for the Saints. Ryan Cartano, senior from California, will inbound. Or will he? We've got a whistle before the inbounds play and a foul called on the Fighting Saints. That's on Casimir Ochiaka.
St. Francis foul number 23, Casimir Ochiaka, his first, team second.
Three-pointer from the corner, Robles off the side of the backboard. That leads to an offensive rebound, though. Nash Hostetler is there for the follow. Sometimes you miss badly enough, it creates a good angle for that board. That's what happened there. Phillips inside the three-point line, kicks it out to Kreitz. Here's Ochiaka. Bounce to Lewis McGlasson. McGlasson, awkward balanced shot, and he's able to get himself to the line. That would have been impressive if it had fallen. He spun in the air. His back was to the basket as the ball left his hand.
His first, team's third. Lewis McGlasson at the line for 2.
Halfway down, but he does get himself a chance from the line. First free throw is good. McGlasson's only missed 1 free throw this year, hasn't taken all that many. This will be his 9th attempt. Carter Fahey back on the floor for the Fighting Saints. He departed with a cut on his right leg about 5 minutes ago. McGlasson goes 2 of 2. Hostetler up top to O'Neal. Ryan Cartano on the wing. Swung around to Justin O'Neal once again. Here's Snyder. Tommy Snyder puts it on the floor with the left hand. Kicks it out to Hostetler. Ludwig drives, can't finish. Offensive rebound, Snyder, he can, and get himself to the line. Tommy Snyder's a tough man to handle inside. 5 points for the freshman now. And a chance for number 6. 69% from the line. Snyder's got himself his second three-point play of the game. That one more traditional than the other. But he's got 6 points, and that's the lead for Holy Cross. Carly walks across half court. Here's Phillips. Half the shot clock gone for St. Francis. They continue to work around the outside. Justin Phillips finds Carter Fahey up top. Fahey wants to take Snyder off the dribble. Hand off to Carly for 3. Got it. Off the pass from Carter Fahey. Nice setup by Fahey, and Carly knocks it down. First points for Jake Carly, and the Saints are again within 3. They've trailed the whole way so far, but 6 points is the biggest lead for Holy Cross. Inside Snyder, good position with Carter Fahey. They call it goaltending. Either way, the shot went in. It's 2 points for Snyder. 8 in the game now. Impressive start for Tommy Snyder. Justin Phillips fires across court to Ben Kreitz. Now McGlasson at the top. Bounce to Carter Fahey. 10 to shoot. Phillips. Back to Fahey with the shot clock running down. Carter Fahey fires the 3, too strong. Rebounded by Justin O'Neill. So Holy Cross has a chance to extend their lead now. It's been right around 3-5 the whole game. This to make it an 8-point game. Ludwig misses on the 3-point attempt, and Carter Fahey grabs the loose ball. Carly holds on the right wing. Into the cutting Fahey. Carter Fahey is fouled on his way up. And it'll go on Nash Hostetler. And it'll send Carter Fahey to the line for 2 shots.
His first, team's fourth. Carter Fahey at the line for 2.
Fahey hits him at a 72% rate from the line. He makes this. Fahey averages right around 14 points per game. Third on the team behind Aitor Anabarate and Darius Wright. He and Wright were right at the top of the leaderboard, around 14 to 15 points per game, and then all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, Aitor Anabarate just kind of taking things over. Fahey's found a good role as a facilitator, a guy who certainly can score in bunches. He pulls St. Francis to within 3. Robles passes off to the right side. This is Hostetler near the sideline. Hostetler's looking down low, finds Justin O'Neill on the bounce. O'Neill backs in on Ben Kreitz. Turnaround to his left, misses short. Rebound tipped into the hands of Tommy Snyder. Second chance for Holy Cross. Snyder misses the layup, and Ben Kreitz grabs the rebound. 3-point game. St. Francis has the ball, trailing. Phillips works against Robles and passes it back outside. Fahey drives, nearly taken away from him, but he keeps it alive. Out to Phillips for 3, off the mark. Saints just haven't been able to penetrate this 3-point mark. He's got a whistle. I think a cut on a Holy Cross player. Justin O'Neill has to check out, just as Carter Fahey did a few minutes ago with a cut on his leg. Justin O'Neill's grabbing his left arm up near the shoulder. So he'll get checked on by the training staff. St. Francis inbounds. Kreitz is pushed by Nash Hostetler and a foul called. Just over halfway through this first half. Holy Cross has led the entire way. They've been up by as many as 6. St. Francis has kept it between 3 and 5 for almost the whole first 11 minutes. Phillips out to Kreitz. Lob down low, Fahey working one-on-one with Snyder. Carter Fahey muscles his way inside and scores to make it a 1-point game. First field goal of the game for Fahey. He's got 4 points. Snyder backs it up. Over to Hostetler. Ash Hostetler swings it around. This is Cartano. Lob down low, Snyder with 6 to shoot. Pull-up jumper, rattles around and falls. Tell me Snyder's already in double figures. And a timeout is called by Holy Cross. 8:23 to play in a first half that's been moving with some good pace early on here. Holy Cross and St. Francis trading baskets to this point in the game. Really, it was the visiting Saints who scored the first 5 points, and that's been the difference in this game so far. Other than that one 5-0 run, if you can call that a run, they've just gone back and forth, pretty much trading baskets consistently. And Holy Cross has been able to maintain their lead. They have not been able to pull away at all. Holy Cross scored 83 their last time out, so this is a team that certainly can light up the scoreboard under the right circumstances. They lost that game to Governor State 84-83, but they shot over 50% for 2-pointers and over 40% on 3-pointers. Their downfall in that game, just 57% from the line. They were 20 of 35. When you're playing a tight game, you can't afford to miss 15 free throws. Well, St. Francis plays nothing but tight games, especially here at home. It seems like every one comes down to the final possession. They got a bit of a reprieve on Saturday. A comparatively easy 9-point victory over Trinity Christian. That got them to 11-6 in conference play. In 5th place right now. And still trying to battle their way up to the top 4. So they could potentially host a CCAC tournament game. Jake Carley ties the score at 23. First time we've been tied since it was scoreless, and Holy Cross's lead has vanished here. They'll try to get it right back. They've got Cartano on the drive, working against McGlasson. He's stuck down on the baseline, trying to create space for himself. Misses the layup, rebound McGlasson. So the Saints can take their first lead of the game right here. McGlasson steps right into a 3-pointer and misses it. And the rebound goes to Mick Sullivan. So a chance for St. Francis there to jump out in front. Didn't go their way. Holy Cross tries to recapture the lead. And Robles gets a couple of bounces on the rim, but neither of them were to his liking as the ball falls out. Again, St. Francis can take the lead. Fahey at the top. Just inside the 3-point line, knocks down the jumper. Carter Fahey does indeed give St. Francis their first lead, 25-23. Holy Cross has gone cold on the offensive side. This is Robles, up top to Ludwig. Bo Ludwig backs in. Ludwig against Christ, stripped from behind by Jake Carley. St. Francis's reserves are making quite a run here, but it's their lone starter on the floor, Carter Fahey, who fires it out of bounds. Fighting Saints turnover, and now the starters come back on the floor. Werner Charles, Anna Bedarte, and Casimiro Chiaka check in. Jake Carley remains on the floor for St. Francis with just about 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. 2-point game. First lead that the Fighting Saints have had today. Justin O'Neill passes up top to Robles. Snyder on the left wing. Snyder's already got 10 points in the game tonight. He dribbles this one off his foot, but a foul is called on Aitor Anabararte. It's his first. It's the 5th on the team. A little leaner from Phil Robles misses. Anabadarte grabs the rebound. Ochiaka backs in on Sullivan. Poked away by Snyder, and Tommy Snyder comes up with the steal. Good help defense from the freshman. Snyder for three. Rims out, rebounded by Carly. Holy Cross remains ice cold. Now St. Francis will try to get their offense back on track. Been over a minute since they scored. Nadav Gerner out to E.J. Charles. Ochiaka finds the cutting Charles. Two defenders in front of him, but he's able to take the dribble to shake himself free and lay it in. Nicely managed by E.J. Charles. St. Francis has scored 7 points in a row. Charles jumps the passing lane and takes it away from O'Neal. He finishes on the other end. 9 in a row for the Saints, 4 in a row for E.J. Charles. And it's a 6-point game with under 5 minutes to play in the half. Charles does it again. This time he's not able to keep the ball alive, but he jumped in front of O'Neal. Second time in a row he's able to anticipate a pass. This time he knocks it out of bounds. Darius Wright is back in for the Fighting Saints. Here's Cartano. Bounce down low to Snyder. Snyder backs in on Anabadarte. Gerner comes over to help, and he's called for the foul. Or is Anabadarte the culprit here? It is Nadav Gerner. It's his first. And this will give Holy Cross a chance to end their drought. They've had some trouble scoring of late. 4:44 on the clock. Tommy Snyder 1 for 1 from the line so far. And he's scored 10 points. He misses the first free throw. It's been 4 minutes since Holy Cross last scored. And that finally ends the drought. They are still without a field goal for a while, but they'll take the point anyway. It ends the 9-0 St. Francis run. And that adds to the 12-1 run as E.J. Charles knocks down a three. It adds to the 9-1 run and makes it 12-1. I don't think that's that important though. Point is, Saints are looking good right now. The Fighting Saints, that is. Here's Mick Sullivan working down low, passes outside to O'Neal. Snuffed out that time by Ochiaka. Justin O'Neal, shot clock under 10. Gets around E.J. Charles and to the basket with a layup. So the first field goal in about 4.5 minutes there for Holy Cross, and it comes at a much needed time. They had trailed by 8 points after leading by 6. Aitor Anabadarte bounces down low for Ochiaka. Ochiaka blocked by Snyder, and Snyder is fouled by Kazmir Ochiaka. Frustration foul there on the grad transfer for the Fighting Saints. Ochiaka's second foul. It's the 6th on the team, so it will not yet result in free throws. Cartano across half court. Passed off to Jalen Martin and back up to the top. Cartano works his way to the top of the key and gives it up to the right wing. Martin down low, Sullivan. Nick Sullivan doesn't get the roll, and it's rebounded by Anabadarte. Charles to the corner, and Anabadarte working one-on-one with Snyder. He backs in, Sullivan comes over to help. He finds Ochiaka on the outside. Darius Wright resets it. Wright, step back, 2-point jumper, off the rim. Rebounded by Sullivan. Holy Cross at least for the moment, has gotten things back on track. Martin misses the three. Rebound, Anabadarte. St. Francis trailed for most of this first half. They went on a big run, and Darius Wright gets them back on the board with a layup. Timeout called by the Fighting Saints. 2:25 to play in the first half. It's an 8-point lead for the Saints. This matches their biggest lead of the game. Biggest lead for Holy Cross was only 6, despite the fact that Holy Cross has led for about 2/3 of the game up to this point. They scored the first 5 points and then maintained a lead of about 5 until St. Francis went on a 9-0 run, which turned into a 12-1 run just a few minutes ago. Helped build this big lead that they've been able to carry into right now. And if they continue to play well over the final 2:25, they can put themselves in a position where they feel really good about this game going into halftime. Build it up to double digits. Holy Cross has gone ice cold from the field. Just 1 for their last 7. And now for the game, are shooting 38%. Well, just like St. Francis is going to try to get a couple of buckets to really put Holy Cross back on their heels, Holy Cross has enough time to make this one very close before halftime, if not even wrest the lead away from the Fighting Saints. They've got to find that shooting touch, though, that they had to open the game. Snyder's got 4 seconds to shoot, and he loses it out of bounds. Knocked out by St. Francis, apparently, so it will stay with Holy Cross. 2 on the shot clock. Phil Robles comes on for Jalen Martin. Just 2 seconds to get a shot off here. Robles trapped in the corner, gives it up to Snyder. Snyder released the ball in just enough time, but was not able to get a good look at the basket there. It's rebounded by Carter Fahey. Here's Charles, three-pointer, short, from the same spot that he made his last one. E.J. Charles leads the team with 10 points today. Robles bounces to Sullivan. Sullivan backs down, runs right into Charles, forces it up with the right hand and can't get the roll. Rebound E.J. Charles, who continues a very strong first half. Fahey hands to right, jumper, rims out. That looked like it was going down, but it was just off after rattling around the rim. Robles misses with the right hand. Rebound to the Saints. Fahey pushes it ahead to right. Darius Wright down to Gerner in the corner. Dov Gerner bounces to Carter Fahey. Final minute of play, first half. Good back and forth first half, but not back again so far. St. Francis remains in control, trying to give themselves a double-digit lead here. Charles leans to his right and rolls it home. 10-point lead for St. Francis. And Holy Cross takes what will likely be their last possession of the half. Here's Bo Ludwig. Lob for Robles. Quickly trapped, but he's able to pass out of it. Snyder finds Cartagena, who lays it in. Nice ball movement by Holy Cross. Started with Robles passing out of a tough trap. Ryan Cartagena is on the board with his first points. 5 seconds to play in the half. Gerner inside to Anabadarte. Aitor Anabadarte doesn't get the shot off. Neither did Gerner, which is fine with him. It won't count against his three-point percentage. 8-point lead for St. Francis. They trailed most of the half. Then they got hot. They went on a 12-1 run, and they built the lead that they hold up until now. An 8-point game at halftime. We'll be back in 15 minutes to break down the first half and get all set for the second half. As we go into the break, St. Francis 36, Holy Cross 28 here on the USF Sports Network. 36-28, St. Francis over Holy Cross at halftime. About a minute away from the start of the second half, and we'll take a quick look at some of the statistics from the first 20 minutes of basketball. Not a lot really separates these two teams in the first half other than shooting, and that's the name of the game, putting the ball in the basket. St. Francis has done a little bit better, 50% from the field, 43% from three-point range. Holy Cross is at just 36% overall and 25% on three-pointers. Free throws have been a big advantage for St. Francis as well. They are a perfect 7 of 7 from the line. Other than that, two teams are dead even in rebounds, 17 apiece. Neither team has turned the ball over very much. 4 for St. Francis, 3 for Holy Cross. E.J. Charles is the game's leader with 12 points on 5 of 7 shooting. Holy Cross is led by Tommy Snyder. Snyder, who came in averaging 20 points and 8.5 rebounds per game, has 11 points and 4 rebounds through the first half tonight. St. Francis has gotten 5 rebounds out of Carter Fahey, who also has a team-leading 2 assists. And Fahey, remember, played just 10 minutes in the first half. He had to leave because he had a cut on his leg. And in his absence, the team played very well, and that's been one of the key things for St. Francis to look at over the last few weeks. Their starters have played well. They haven't always gotten the same contributions from their second unit. Well, today, the bench of St. Francis has outscored the bench of Holy Cross 10-4. And that's been a big factor in the first half of today's game. Fighting Saints trailed by as many as 6. They were down most of the first half, but they came on strong in the latter stages, and we'll see if they can pull away here in the second half and keep going that momentum they had late in the first. Aitor Anabadarte working against Mick Sullivan inside, turns around and puts it in. Aitor Anabadarte not terribly aggressive in the first half, just 2 field goal attempts. But he is tough to stop in the paint if he gets going, as he did right there. This match is the biggest lead of the game, 10 points. Snyder gives it up to O'Neal. Step back O'Neal, jumper is good. Big bucket for Justin O'Neal, who scores for the second time today. And the two teams trade baskets on their opening possessions of the second half. Darius Wright on the left wing. Wright has struggled to score of late, 4 points so far today. He gets the pass from Fahey, blocked from behind by Ludwig, but gets it right back. And now Darius Wright has 6 points. That's a guy the Saints would love to get going once again. He had been shooting the ball exceptionally throughout the month of January. The last 2 or 3 games he's struggled. Snyder up with the left hand and he's fouled. Number 2 on Aitor Anabadarte. Number 1 of the half. Tommy Snyder is 2 of 3 at the free throw line. He's the only Holy Cross player to have found himself at the line so far tonight. First free throw is good. $12 points for Snyder. And there's number 13. So we're back to an 8-point game. This is where it's been for the first minute and a half of the second half. Each team has scored on their first 2 possessions of the half. Fahey passes off to E.J. Charles, right back to Fahey. Handoff, Darius Wright for 3, no good. Rebounded by Mick Sullivan. So the Saints come up empty for the first time since halftime. Let's see if Holy Cross can take advantage of the door left open. Fahey knocks it away from Sullivan, and they cannot take advantage. 4th turnover of the game for Holy Cross. Fahey gives it up top to Aitor Anabadarte. The 3 misses. Rebound poked into the air and brought down by Bo Ludwig. Good look for Aitor Anabadarte. He's not able to hit the 3, neither is Phil Robles. So as one team goes, so goes the other this half. Every time St. Francis has scored, Holy Cross has as well. Each time the Fighting Saints have put up an empty possession, so have the regular Saints. Nice pass, Fahey to Gerner, and Gerner blocked by the bottom of the rim. Just tough angle, got himself a little bit too deep underneath the basket. Beautiful setup. He just couldn't finish. Well, if trends hold, Holy Cross won't score here either. They didn't. It's a travel. Sullivan took a little hop before putting the ball on the floor. And Holy Cross turns it over. Only 3 turnovers the whole first half. That's number 2 of the second half already. Gerner gets the screen from Fahey. Works his way back out to E.J. Charles. Here's Carter Fahey backing in on Snyder. Fahey off the glass, got the roll. 8 points for Carter Fahey. The lead is back to 10. It's been here 4 times. It has never been greater than 10. Let's see if St. Francis can now break that trend on the defensive end and force a stop. They do. Wright pokes it away from Sullivan. Now it's 2-on-1. Darius Wright off the glass, no good. Gerner saves it from going out of bounds, and Aitor Anabadarte keeps it alive. Good hustle from St. Francis, not able to score on the fast break, but they've given themselves another chance. Gerner gives it to Charles. Nadav Gerner lobs to Charles, who cannot finish on the alley-oop. We've seen that play work out an awful lot this year for St. Francis, but that time, I don't think E.J. Charles ever had a good grip on the ball. Sullivan backs in on Anabadarte, up with the right hand. Nice move by McSullivan. Sullivan's got 4 points. And the lead for St. Francis is back to 8. I feel like we've been here before. Gerner works against Robles on the outside, up top to Darius Wright. E.J. Charles, who turns around on O'Neal. 1-on-1 with O'Neal. Now Sullivan comes over to help. Charles finds Anabadarte. Shot clock at 6 for Carter Fahey. Tough defense from Snyder. Fahey puts up the shot anyway and scores. Ten-point game. Fahey's got 10. Second Fighting Saint in double figures. Ludwig pull up from the free throw line. Off the back iron. No good. Rebound E.J. Charles. 4th rebound of the game for Charles. To go along with his 12 points, all of them in the first half. Tries to add 3 more here in the second half, and he does. Second made 3-pointer today for E.J. Charles, and the Fighting Saints have opened this game up. 47-34 is our score, 14:45 to play in the second half. And Holy Cross finds themselves in a little bit of trouble, trying to avoid a 4th consecutive loss. Holy Cross got off to a good start today. Actually, this is game 2 of a doubleheader here. The opener was the women's matchup between St. Francis and Holy Cross, and kind of a similar story. Holy Cross got off to a good start, had an early lead, lost it, never got it back. That one reversed a little bit quicker. St. Francis overcame an early 7-point deficit, and they had pulled away already by halftime. By this stage of the game, they were approaching a 20-point lead. Well, the men's team's not that far behind. They trailed almost the whole first half. Holy Cross held the lead for most of the first 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, St. Francis got hot. And they took over with about 6 minutes to go. They took their first lead, and they've held it ever since. Just gotten bigger and bigger. And now a game-high 13-point lead for the Fighting Saints. E.J. Charles just knocked down his second 3-pointer of the game and now has 15 on 6 of 9 shooting. Carter Fahey's in double figures, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists for Fahey. He's been very good after having to sit for a few minutes with a cut on his leg in the first half. The bleeding has stopped. You can see it on his leg where that cut is, but he had to wrap it up in a bandage in the first half. He took it off at halftime. So not an issue right now. Here's Robles passing off to Snyder. Holy Cross needs to get him going. Tommy Snyder drives, scores, and a foul. They needed to get him going, they did. 15 points now for Snyder, who looked unstoppable at times in the first half. Snyder is a very impressive freshman. A lot of good young players on this Holy Cross team, which has kind of taken a step back in the standings. Snyder misses the free throw. This is a team that was up near the top of the conference a few years in a row. They won the conference in 2020. Got themselves into the NAIA tournament that year before it ultimately was wiped out. Nadav Gerner works inside, lays it up and in. He was trying to give that ball up to Aitor Anabararte, but the defenders never closed in on him, so he figured might as well take it himself. And Gerner has his first points of the game. Snyder, pull-up jumper is good. 17 for Tommy Snyder to lead everybody. Holy Cross, like I was saying, is maybe taking a step back on the record, although they have been competitive this year. But they are retooling a little bit here, and they're going to be a force the next couple of years. Carter Fahey is a force on that drive. So he gets himself to the line looking for a three-point play. Mike McBride is in his 10th year as head coach at Holy Cross. This is a team that's had a lot of down stretches throughout its program history, but Mike McBride's really had them very competitive for the most part during his tenure. As Fahey makes it a three-point play, 13 points for him, and a 14-point lead for the Fighting Saints. Snyder drives on Fahey, bumped on his way to the basket, and Carter Fahey is called for his third foul. That foul is on the floor. And it's the third on St. Francis this half. Robles inbounds to Hostetler. Still Robles, lobs it in for Snyder. And Tommy Snyder is called for an offensive foul, lowered his shoulder on Fahey that time. So each one has gotten the other on that possession.
Holy Cross player control foul, number 24, Tommy Snyder, his third, team second.
Justin Phillips and Ben Kreitz take it down the floor. Jake Carley is in the game right now for St. Francis as well. And here's Carley's first touch. Hit a big three back in the first half. Bench played really well for the Fighting Saints in the first half of action. Phillips gets the screen. Back to Fahey. Three-pointer. Shorts. Carter Fahey's been hot tonight. He's played well, but not that time. Well short on the missed jumper. And now we'll see if Holy Cross can follow it up by scoring on the other end. Haven't been able to string together too many stops and scores. Snyder backs in, double teamed, and he's fouled by Fahey. That'll be number 4. Tommy Snyder goes to the line. They got E.J. Charles from behind. So that's only number 1 on E.J. Charles, and obviously a big difference there. So Fahey will stay in the game now as he remains at 3 fouls. It's the 4th on the team. Snyder makes the first free throw. 18 for Snyder. He's playing his game tonight, but his teammates haven't really stepped up since early in the first half. We saw some good shooting from Phil Robles early, but it's been a while. Nash Hostetler is a guy who just has not been able to get going at any point during today's game, but he's typically a big shooter. Hasn't been there. The opportunities haven't been there for him. Kreitz in the corner. He has got an opportunity, but he misses it. Offensive rebound, Fahey. Carter Fahey, turnaround. Yes, off the rim, rolls it in. Robles stripped by Carley. The ball loose, and Robles tracks it down, keeps it alive for Holy Cross. Down to the corner, here's Nash Hostetler, draining the 3. First made three-pointer of the game for Hostetler, who hits about 2.5 of them per game this year. Now Hostetler has 5 points. Still a double-digit lead for the Fighting Saints. Fahey not able to extend that lead as he misses the turnaround jumper this time. Here's Robles. Kicked outside, Snyder for three, good. Second made three-pointer today for Tommy Snyder. For as good as he's been this year, that hasn't been a huge part of his game. Tonight though, Snyder is 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. It's a rare game in which he shoots from outside that often, but if it's working, why stop? 21 points for Snyder. Here's E.J. Charles giving it up to Fahey. Fahey on the drive, can't bank it in, misses the tip, and Snyder comes down with a rebound. Foul is called on the defense. This goes on Charles, number 2 on him. And that leads both teams to their bench. Bo Ludwig and Nick Sullivan are both back in for Holy Cross. Lewis McGlasson, Casimir Ochiaka return to the floor for the Fighting Saints, meaning all 5 on the floor right now are reserves for St. Francis. They played really well in the first half, but if you're Mike McBride right now, you've got to be thinking this is an opportunity to get back into the game. Facing the second unit, Holy Cross still has most of their starters on the floor, although Snyder is getting a breather right now. Ball goes into Nash Hostetler. One dribble and he gives it up to Ryan Cartano. O'Neal back up to Cartano. Cartano works his way inside, stripped by Phillips, out of bounds. 9 on the shot clock, still Holy Cross basketball. Cartano inbounds it to Sullivan, knocked away by Phillips again, right back to Sullivan, who is called for an offensive foul. A rough and tumble possession on that side of the floor. The ball and bodies flying all over the place, and ultimately Sullivan is called for the foul. And St. Francis gets the ball back, leading by 9. Here's Ochiaka backing in on Sullivan. He passes back outside, gets it right back at the free throw line. Jake Carley nearly knocked away. Carley on the run, misses off the rim, and the rebound goes to Hostetler. We're at the midway point of the second half. It was an 8-point game at halftime. St. Francis has extended their lead by 1 ever since. Plenty of time still for Holy Cross to go on their run. But they have not been closer than 8 in this second half. They can change that right here. Hostetler drives and lays it in. So this is, in fact, the closest it's been since halftime. Holy Cross has scored 10 points in a row. Trying to get it to Ben Kreitz. The pass deflected and off of Kreitz's foot, out of bounds. Well, this is the problem that we've seen at times from St. Francis this year. They're on a roll. They just haven't been able to keep it going with the reserves. That was not the case in the first half. In fact, in the first half, the starters were outplayed until the bench came in, and the bench started to take over this game for the Fighting Saints. It's been the opposite in the second half. Aitor Anabadarte is back on the floor. We'll see if that turns the tide for the Fighting Saints. They've gone 3 minutes without scoring, during which time Holy Cross has gone on a 10-0 run, make it a 12-0 run. Snyder knocks down the jumper with his foot on the line. It's a 5-point game and a timeout called by St. Francis with 9:04 to play in the second half. Credit the resilience of Holy Cross here. It looked like St. Francis had flipped the switch late in the first half and taken this game over, but it has turned around dramatically just over the last few minutes. Fighting Saints have led by as many as 17 points. was at 54-37. Holy Cross has scored 12 in a row since then. And again, it's been Tommy Snyder leading the charge. It was Snyder who knocked down that last jumper. Mentioned before, he's been more aggressive than usual from the outside. He's made 2 3-pointers in the game. That last one, his foot was on the line, but another long-range jumper. He's now got 23 points on 8 of 12 shooting. So he has scored just about half of his team's total. Coming out of the timeout, Phillips, Carly, Fahey, Charles, and Anabadarte for St. Francis. We'll see if they can get rolling once again. Anabadarte lobs it in for Charles. Pass a little bit high, but EJ's able to pull it in. Now he backs in, and he's fouled. 4th foul called against Holy Cross.
Holy Cross foul number 24, Tommy Snyder.
Tommy Snyder's
His
4th.
Team score.
It's a huge foul right there on Snyder. He has to leave the game. And without him, Holy Cross just hasn't had a lot going on the offensive end. So we'll see how long Mike McBride keeps him on the bench. Fahey drives, off balance shot, misses. And the rebound goes to Holy Cross. So St. Francis's drought continues. Let's see if the run for Holy Cross does. Robles is blocked by Charles. Here's Carly on the other end. Off balance layup misses. Rebound Anabadarte, and he is stripped by Carteno. Four straight minutes without a point for St. Francis. Here's Robles. And prior to the shot, we've got a whistle. And a foul on Justin Phillips. Check that, it's number 3 on Aitor Anabadarte. And it looks like a technical. 8:06 to play. Holy Cross is on a 12-0 run. They're back to within 5 after trailing by double digits for most of this half. And now Phil Robles is going to get 2 free throws here on a technical foul. First one is good. We got just the 1 free throw. I didn't see what that call was. So he is going to get 2. Or is this a second technical? So this appears to be a technical on Ryan Marks. The original call was against Aitor Anabadarte, in which they gave the free throw to Robles, and I'm not sure why he got that free throw. Again, I didn't see the original official signal. I thought it was a common foul, but apparently not. The run is now 14-0 in Holy Cross's favor. And Robles, a very good free throw shooter, trying to make it 15 in a row. He does. And the last 3 of them on his free throws. All of a sudden, Holy Cross can tie or take the lead on this possession. They're trying to turn it into a 5 or a 6-point possession. And Mike McBride is going to draw up a play from the sideline as Holy Cross calls timeout. This game has taken a sudden turn. 17-point lead just moments ago for St. Francis. Has become a 2-point game. Actually, a 15-point lead was their biggest, 54-39. So this is not a 15-0 run. My mistake there. It's 13 consecutive points for Holy Cross. And all of that's gone down over the last 4 minutes or so. Remember, their top player, Tommy Snyder, is on the bench right now. He's got 4 fouls. So they've been able to make up ground even without Snyder for stretches during this last 4-minute run. But it's hard to imagine them making the comeback complete all the way to the end of this game without having him on the floor for a significant portion of it. They're trying to tie the game with a 2 or take the lead with a 3 here. Bounced inside for Sullivan. Sullivan backs in on Fahey, up with the right hand. We're tied at 54. So now it is a 15-0 run for Holy Cross. And St. Francis is reeling here, looking to get something going. It's been a while. This is Charles. Lobbed in for Fahey. Fahey backs in. Here's the help. He shakes free of both defenders and banks it in. That snaps that 5-minute drought that St. Francis had been on. A big bucket for Fahey to give him 17 for the game. Saints back in the lead, 56-54. Hostetler bounces inside for Sullivan. Sullivan works against Fahey, and Fahey is called for his 4th foul. I don't know that Carter Fahey is as vital to his team's success as Tommy Snyder is, but he's been arguably the best player on the floor in this game. So that's pretty big that he's picked up his 4th foul now. Snyder, remember, on the bench for Holy Cross with 4 on that end. Casimir Ochiaka comes in for Fahey. Nadav Gerner on the floor with Darius Wright as well for the Fighting Saints. 1-1 for Sullivan. He makes the front end. Seven points for Sullivan, looking for number 8 and another tie score. He makes them both. 56 all, just under 7 minutes to play. Didn't look like it was going to be this way for a while, but we've got a barn burner. Coming down to the wire here. Aitor Anabadarte. High post, takes a dribble and hands it off to Darius Wright. Wright trying to shake loose of Cartano, can't do it. Gives it up to Charles instead, and now a foul down into the paint. Casimir Ochiaka is grabbed by Nash Hostetler, and Hostetler is whistled for his 3rd foul. That's 5 on the team. Now we've got another whistle here prior to the inbounds play, and another foul on Holy Cross. That's number 6 on the team. The next one will send the Fighting Saints to the free throw line. The first on Ludwig. Nadav Gerner looks to get the ball in and finds Aitor Anabadarte. Anabadarte drives right past Sullivan and lays it in. A little bit of confusion on the defensive end as Sullivan got caught up with Nadav Gerner, and Anabadarte took advantage. 8 points for Aitor Anabadarte. 2-point lead, St. Francis. Cartano gives it up to Hostetler. 3-pointer is good, and Holy Cross has their first lead in a while. 59-58 on the Hostetler 3-pointer, his 2nd, made from beyond the arc today. Aitor Anabadarte working inside on a whistle before the shot and a foul call. That's on Sullivan. Again, not on the shots. This is 1-1. Anabadarte 2 of 2 on free throws today. 59-58. Holy Cross, their first lead since it was 23-20. And they maintain the lead as Anabadarte misses the front end of the 1-1. Hostetler over to Ludwig. Here's Cartano working out of the corner. Robles bounces inside to Snyder. Snyder just back in the game with 4 fouls and scores over Aitor Anabadarte. (61-58). St. Francis led this thing by 15 points They've been outscored 24-4 ever since. Aitor Anabararte unable to finish. 22-4 rather. Another empty possession for St. Francis. Robles travels. Lost his footing there. The Fighting Saints catch a break. Still they trail though. Mike McBride brought Snyder back in, and Snyder immediately went back to work, adding 2 more points. Now he heads to the bench for a little bit. Just under 5 minutes to play. Carter Fahey has been on the bench ever since he picked up his 4th foul. Has not checked back in. Gerner gets the screen from Ochiaka. Nadav Gerner gives it up at the last instant to Kazmir Ochiaka, who lays it in. Great drive from Nadav Gerner. He waited until the absolute last instant. He waited for the defense to commit, and Ochiaka freed up for an open layup. 4 points for him. 1 point game. Robles throws it out of bounds. He was looking for Cartano, and the 2 of them not on the same page. Cartano cut, the pass came in behind him, and Phil Robles checks out. Justin O'Neill is back in. St. Francis can reclaim the lead. They've had it for all but a minute of the second half. They're led by 8 at halftime. Darius Wright drives, knocked out of his hand by Cartano. They built that lead up. For the longest time, Holy Cross couldn't get that deficit under 8. There's a drive from Hostetler, a block. Sullivan gets it back. He's blocked, but fouled.
St. Francis foul number 14, E.J. Charles, his 3rd, team's 8th.
Third foul on E.J. Charles. 1-1 for Sullivan, so I think he was in the act of shooting, so it's 2 shots. Yeah, it's been corrected. It's a 2-shot foul. Sullivan makes the first. It would have been a 2-shot foul either way. 62-60. Sometimes you don't have to say anything, just let it all sort itself out. 3:39 to play. We're getting late here. Sullivan makes it a 3-point game. St. Francis beat Holy Cross 63-52 in South Bend in December. They've won their last 3 games against Holy Cross, including a sweep last year. Aitor Anabararte is fouled down low, and that'll send him to the line. Aitor missed a crucial free throw just moments ago. We'll see if he can make up for it this time.
Team's 8th.
He does hit the first, 63-61. 9 points for the junior center, Aitor Anabararte. Came in averaging 16 per game. He scores twice here. He's in double figures, 3rd Fighting Saint to hit that mark. 1 point game. Both Snyder and Fahey remain on the bench here late. Cartano drives, Cartano lays it in. Just roll right over Nadav Gerner that time. A powerful drive from Ryan Cartano. 4 points for him. And a timeout is called by St. Francis with 2:51 to play. 65-62. Holy Cross has the lead. Ryan Cartano, the senior from California, just made a big play off the bench. That's been one of the major stories of today's game, bench production. It was great for St. Francis in the first half. Here in the second half, Holy Cross has gotten much better contributions from their reserves. Foul trouble has been a big storyline in this game. 2 guys who have been arguably the 2 best players in this game, Snyder for Holy Cross and Fahey for St. Francis, have both spent a significant amount of time in the second half on the bench in foul trouble. Mike McBride brought Snyder back early with 4 fouls. Kept him out there for about a minute just to give him a few possessions. It paid off. He got a couple of points out of it. Went back to the bench, and he apparently will still be on the bench coming out of the break here. Snyder is the game's leader with 25 points, 9 of 13 shooting tonight. Fahey did go to the scorer's table during this timeout to check himself back in. He's leading St. Francis with 17 points on 7 of 14 from the field. Holy Cross has outscored St. Francis here in the second half, 37-26. They're shooting 75% in the second half. They've gone 12 of 16. And you need to shoot well to make a comeback like the one that they've had, but they've done more than shoot well. It's really been an incredible offensive showing for them over the last 7-8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Darius Wright is called for the travel. It was with 12.5 minutes left in this game that St. Francis had their 15-point lead, which was their biggest. It was 54-39. And Holy Cross came back and took the lead by, again, not missing too many shots. Knocked out of the hands of Sullivan. Aitor Anabararte picks up the loose ball. They have turned it over more often in the second half than they did in the first. That's their 8th turnover of the half. Wright for the tie, misses the 3. Offensive rebound. Anabararte back up and in, and he can tie it from the line. Third foul on Sullivan, who heads to the bench. And now Tommy Snyder is back in with 2:13 to play. Free throw for the tie is good. 65 all. It'll come down to the final 2 minutes. A fresh start here for both teams as Cartano sets up the offense. Off to O'Neal. Justin O'Neal working against Carter Fahey. Up top, Hostetler. So move it around the perimeter. Now Cartano drives, and he's grabbed by Nadav Gerner. And so it's become a battle of free throws here. 1-1 coming up for Cartano. Ryan Cartano is 13 for 18 shooting free throws this year. He misses the front end. So both teams have missed the front end of a 1-1. A huge one there for Cartano that would have given his team the lead. Now St. Francis can gain control with under 2 minutes to play. Nadav Gerner on the wing. And we've got a foul away from the ball that's going to send Aitor Anabararte to the line. That's number 4 on Mick Sullivan, who will check right back out. Mike McBride's trying to go offense-defense right now with Sullivan and Snyder, but Sullivan's picked up fouls on back-to-back possessions, so now he's in foul trouble too. Anabararte makes the first. One more. Both teams with a double bonus the rest of the way. So 2 shots on any foul. St. Francis has regained the lead that they've held for most of the second half. They just lost it, and now they've got it back. They've led by as many as 15, trailed by as many as 3 here in the half. Holy Cross's biggest lead in the game is 6. That was early. Here's Bo Ludwig working it to the top of the key. He gives it up to Nash Hostetler. And an offensive foul called on Tommy Snyder, trying to get positioning underneath the basket. He has fouled out. And what a way to go. That is a tough break for Holy Cross, for their best player to foul out away from the ball on an offensive possession. And St. Francis very much in the driver's seat now. 1:25 to go. they've got a 2-point lead and the ball, and Holy Cross's top player is done for the day. He was in and out of foul trouble this whole second half, which makes what he did on the floor even more impressive. Snyder only played 27 minutes today. Scored 25 points on 9 of 13 shooting. 5 rebounds, a couple of assists, 2 steals. He's out. And now it'll be up to the rest of the Holy Cross Saints to try to pull off this comeback. Doesn't feel like much of a comeback now, but 10 minutes ago, I don't think too many people in the building would have given them a chance. They've got it right now, but the Fighting Saints can take over with a basket here. Fahey, a leaner, got it to go. It's a 4-point lead with under a minute to play. Holy Cross needs a bucket here. Robles off to Ludwig. Bo Ludwig drives, gets inside and lays in a huge drive from Bo Ludwig. When Holy Cross most needed the points, they got them from Ludwig, the senior. We've seen Ludwig step up and make a play. We saw Ryan Cartano make a big play a few moments ago. This is a very young team for Holy Cross right now, but their 2 seniors, or I should say 2 of their seniors, have made the biggest plays in the biggest moments here in the second half. However, they still trail 69-67. St. Francis will have the ball with a 14-second difference between the shot and game clock, so it'll be interesting to see how Mike McBride wants to play this, but as long as he's got confidence in his defense, there's really no reason to foul here. You would expect them maybe to put on a full court press, try to come up with a steal, but if they don't get it, they still do have enough time if they want to just play out the possession. Holy Cross will come onto the floor with Robles and Sullivan, Hostetler, Ludwig, and Cartano. Doesn't appear, at least initially, like they're going to put on much pressure, but now they do bring some of their guys into the front court. Aitor Anabadarte is the trigger man for St. Francis, and Holy Cross backs off. They'll let the Fighting Saints get it across half court. And it does appear that they'll play out the possession defensively. That means if the Fighting Saints can score here after running some clock, it'll be awfully difficult for Holy Cross. Darius Wright works around Aitor Anabadarte, who had fallen to the ground. No foul called. Carter Fahey along the baseline, lays it up and in, and a foul. Carter Fahey is having maybe his best game of the year, and he has come up with every huge shot here down the stretch. 19 seconds remaining, and this free throw would make it a 5-point game as Mick Sullivan has fouled out. So Holy Cross has now lost Snyder and Sullivan, and that brings Justin O'Neill back in. Timeout called by Holy Cross. So looking a lot bleaker for Holy Cross now than when they called their previous timeout. Down by just 2 points, they were very much in position to either take this game to overtime or win it outright. They needed one defensive stop, and then they would have had the ball back for the final shot if they wanted it, or at least close to it. But instead, Carter Fahey made the big play that the Saints were looking for, the Fighting Saints, that is. And now Fahey from the free throw line has a chance to make things really tough on Holy Cross. It's already a 2-possession game. But if Fahey knocks down this free throw, Holy Cross is going to need 2 buckets, at least one of them a three-pointer, in very short order. Fahey's a 72% free throw shooter. Looked for a little while here like the Fighting Saints were going to pull away. That didn't happen. Credit to Holy Cross for fighting back, making it a close game. That's just what you expect here at the Sullivan Center. Every game that St. Francis plays here seems to come down to the wire. Their 9-point victory over Trinity Christian in their last home game was just the second time this year that they have played a home game and won it by more than a possession. 72-67 as Fahey makes the free throw, and now Holy Cross has got to work very quickly. Robles across half court. He may not be moving quickly enough. Robles off to the right, gives it to O'Neal, and O'Neal stepped on the sideline. Well, if St. Francis gets the ball inbounds now, that should be all she wrote. Holy Cross's only real hope is to get an immediate steal. Aitor Anabadarte fires it into Darius Wright. And Wright not fouled immediately. They give a couple of seconds, and with 7.2, Wright will go to the line. As I said before, all they need to do probably is get the ball in, and that remains true. It certainly does seem as though St. Francis has this one just about wrapped up. They can make it a done deal if Wright makes both of these free throws and turns it into a 3-possession game. And he does make the first. One more coming. Second shot is good. So it is a 3-possession game. St. Francis took a big lead in the second half. Holy Cross fought back and they made it close. But it does seem as though they'll come up a little bit short here. We'll get enough time for one more shot here. Cartano loses the handle on the ball, and that'll do it. 74-67, St. Francis wins their second in a row. And they pick up their 12th win of conference play, 13th win overall for the Fighting Saints. A tough one tonight. Holy Cross gave them all they could handle down the stretch, but in the end, just didn't have quite enough to complete that big comeback. A good win for the Fighting Saints today. They trailed most of the first half, took over this game by halftime. They were up by 8, extended that lead into the early portions of the second half. Holy Cross made their run. They were down 15. They did come back and take the lead. In fact, in the final minutes, Holy Cross led this game by 3 points. But St. Francis was able to put them away, largely due to some free throw shooting down the stretch and some big shots from the field as well from Carter Fahey, who led the way today with 22 points for the Fighting Saints, 9 of 16 shooting. Just missed a double-double. He had 9 rebounds and 3 assists in the game. Holy Cross was led by Tommy Snyder, who was very impressive in scoring 25 tonight. However, he was in foul trouble for most of the second half. Wasn't on the floor enough to make a big impact down the stretch, and that, more than anything else, may have really hurt Holy Cross, who also got 10 points apiece from Nick Sullivan and Nash Hostetler. St. Francis got 15 points from E.J. Charles, 12 of them in the first half. He really carried the team early in this game, and Aitor Anabadarte came on strong late as well. He finished with 15 points and 7 rebounds. St. Francis will be back at home on Saturday. They take on East-West University in a non-conference Saturday afternoon game. That'll be a 3 o'clock start time here, and we'll have the broadcast for you here on the USF Sports Network, and then they'll wrap up the home conference season next Wednesday evening. Fighting Saints come up with the victory today. They shot 47% from the field, actually outshot by Holy Cross, who shot 50% for the game. Amazingly, Holy Cross in the second half went 13 of 17 from the field, but they turned the ball over 10 times. Couldn't get enough shots. They never missed them when they took them, but again, didn't get enough of them to come away with the victory over St. Francis tonight. So the Saints improve to 13 and 10 overall, 12 and 6 in conference. Holy Cross falls to 11 and 14 and 7-11 in the CCAC. That'll do it for today's broadcast. Thanks for tuning in. St. Francis defeats Holy Cross by a final score of 74-67. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna signing off from the University of St. Francis. Have a good night.